Hi Capricorn, welcome to your May 2017 love reading. It's Raina here. So, what is happening in May? Well, before I lay out the cards to cover that angle, I just wanted to let you know that Venus is going to be in Aries all month. And Aries is your fourth house of home and family. So with Venus there could be issues surrounding you wanting to beautify your home. That's always a possibility. But maybe there's something to do with your family of origin and some kind of relationship. Maybe it's somebody from your hometown that there's that Mercury retrograde that will be going into the very beginning of May until May 3rd. So who knows, maybe you get in touch with somebody from the past. Definitely with that Venus retrograde that has recently come and gone. By the way, starting in Aries, so this may be an ongoing saga. You may be getting back together with somebody from your childhood or your high school years. Who knows? I've been getting a lot of Three of Wands in various readings, and I think there's a reason for that. I think that people are really starting to embrace the idea of expansion in their lives. But anyway, the overall theme of this period of time is a card that I connect with fighting, with disharmony, with competition, with basic unrest, but even aggressive tendencies. So there could be argumentativeness. It might not be physical, God forbid, but just anything that is not harmonious. And this would be within a relationship, obviously. By the way, I must let people know that these readings are intended for people who are either single or are in harmonious relationships. These are not intended for people who are happy. So if you're in a great relationship, you should be happy that you're in that relationship and don't wait for the other shoe to drop. That's what I wonder about. Like, why would you even be watching? But inevitably, I do get people say, that's not true. I'm happy with my relationship. I've been with this person for 20 years and I'm perfectly happy. And I write back and I say, well, then why are you watching this? If you're so happy in your relationship, you don't need to know about your relationship, right? So this is a feeling that is not comfortable. Sometimes it can be kind of a friendly sparring match. It can be. It doesn't have to be horrible. But in general, I don't see it as being a peaceful influence on your life. It could be that you and your partner are trying to have the upper hand in the relationship. Maybe it's even like a power struggle. I'm seeing like an Aries person, because Aries and Cancer are cardinal signs, and maybe even a Libra or something like that. When there are squares in the interactions between the people because of you're both cardinal signs like that, it can cause you to clash with that person because each one wants to be the boss of things. But it's very interesting because it looks to me like, you know what it could be too is, it could be that you're just back on the dating scene. Because for some of you, you've had this respite. The Four of Swords is in the past position, is someone who is kind of recharging their batteries and coming back into the fray, so to speak. And the Five of Wands is definitely the fray. So with the Four of Swords, this may just in general point to a period where you were not dating, where you were, maybe you came out of a divorce, or, you know, it could even be, I'm wondering about if this is a court situation for any of you, because when I see the Five of Wands, I think of people, different factions battling it out. And maybe you were separated and then you decided, yes, I'm going to get a divorce, and now you're in the thick of things. That could always be a possibility. It's also possible that you're dealing with somebody who is a swords person. So I said Libra, but and that could be the number one thing that I would think of. But there's also Aquarius. And that could be problematic because we have the Aquarius card in the challenge position. So that's another swords. Or Gemini. So those two cards are contrasts to one another. One is rest and relaxation, and the other one is like fighting. So it makes me think that some people were in either a solitary state for some reason, either separation or just being single, and now you're in the fray. And maybe the fray for some of you is like you're stepping up and saying, I'm confident and I'm ready to date. And I'm not going to be like a wallflower. Sometimes I see Capricorns in you know, kind of a more subdued people. And you may not be the kind of people that are front and center and trying to be aggressive like these fire signs. That's what that Five of Wands, it kind of is more of a fiery energy. But you may feel like you have to do that because you want to meet somebody. So that's always a possibility. I just want to, you know, make it clear that the Five of Wands doesn't always have to be something dealing with negativity. But right now, this is maybe a strategy that pays off if that is the case, because the Chariot card is a card of victory. And so whatever it is that you have your eyes set on, you can achieve it, but there may be some opposing forces, and that's what that Five of Wands represents to me. And I think of like the dating scene where you're dating somebody and they may be dating somebody else, and it's, in a sense, you could call it a competition because you're all, I mean, you're trying to be the main person so that that person isn't continuing to date other people. And I guess you could call it proving yourself in a certain way. It sounds rather pathetic, but it's just that sense of feeling worthy of being part of what's happening, and not just kind of stepping back and feeling too shy or feeling lacking the confidence to, you know, show the world what you have. The Chariot card is actually connected to Cancer, which is your opposite sign. So maybe there is a Cancer person. And it's funny too, because I was talking about Libra and Aries because they form a square to you, and Cancer is your opposing sign. So even with a Cancer individual, if that is a person that you have been dealing with, likewise, even though it's a complementary sign to you, you could technically say that it's a hard angle because it is an opposition. And so when you have polar opposites for signs, the nature of the aspect makes it so that each one has, it's almost like an extreme. We talk about polarity, bipolar, where there are two extremes happening. And with Cancer and Capricorn, it's the mother and the father archetypes. And in addition to that, you know, these are two traditional signs, but there is that sense of, because they're both cardinal signs, who is in charge? Is the mother in charge or the father? And the authoritarian figures. So just by that alone, you can have power struggles occurring within the relationship. And so the higher message is the Nine of Swords. Again with the swords, okay? If there is somebody in your past that is an air sign person who has been kind of tormenting you in some way, you have to understand that this person that you're basically incompatible with that person. And that's why it's right underneath that Five of Wands. It's showing that there is disharmony in this relationship. Because I'm thinking in terms of family life, specifically when I am talking to a Capricorn. If you have a family, let's say this is your spouse. And I'm not even going to limit it to the air signs. I'm just going to say in general, whoever this person is. If you're in a marriage or the equivalent that is inharmonious and yet you have children, you may feel like it's irresponsible for you to separate from this person. And what I would ask you to consider is, what kind of environment are you raising your children in? The Five of Wands indicates that it's a combative environment where there is a lot of, where there's a lack of harmony. And children can feel that. Even very young children know if something's wrong within the family structure, within any kind of relationship. They constantly will say, "What's wrong, Mommy? What's wrong, Daddy?" They can read these expressions on people's face. They know when things are tense. So, and that's to say nothing of outright, you know, combative behavior. And so even if you want to keep your family together, just remember that it's not healthy also to be in that type of environment. And so you may be chasing after a dream anyway. The other thing to consider is that the Nine of Swords relates to emotional strife in the form of insomnia, in the form of you know, any kind of anxiety. And you can see this person has their hands bound. And I'm kind of curious. It's like they cannot move. They've decided, the Morgan Greer deck decides to depict it in a similar way as they do the Eight of Swords, where the person is bound and blindfolded. In this case, they are bound. So that indicates a loss of freedom. Because these are swords, it connects to the mental state. So the person feels an oppression. They feel like they can't make a move, that they're stuck. And sometimes I get confused between the Eight and Nine of Swords. They seem to have similar themes. With the Nine of Swords, I would say, because the number 9 is solitary, that it's really, that's where that insomnia connection comes in, because it's kind of in the still of the night when you're all alone that you have these plaguing fears. And if you are, it's right underneath that Five of Wands. If you feel that the source of your anxiety is a toxic relationship, then for sure you have to do something to free yourself from the bonds of this situation. And I feel it does start with the thoughts. What you can do, because the number 9 is solitary, is how can I do a solitary practice where I am able to free myself? And of course the answer is meditation. Meditation is the way to quiet the mind. And that's what the Four of Swords also kind of goes into. Although the Four of Swords is also about even physical rejuvenation too. I mean, like rest. But the Nine of Swords can be about being alone with your thoughts, but maybe even trying to suspend your thoughts and not identify with them. Capricorn is a sign that tends towards, if not depression, towards pessimism. I think that's even the better way of looking at it, where they can be very cynical about their situation. And it's not, what saves them is that they are cardinal signs, so they do take action. And a lot of times they tend to be very organized and constructive in their behavior. So they succeed in spite of themselves, you could say. But mentally, you have to cultivate a sense of positivity if you tend to be more, have that influence of Saturn with the limiting beliefs. And the limiting beliefs are not only of your own potential to deal with the situation, but also that of other people. You may sell people short, and in a weird way, you may enable them towards bad behavior because you might say, well, they can't do anything about it, because you don't really hold them accountable. So if you're in a relationship with somebody who is a problem personality, the answer isn't to just be complacent and say they don't know any better and they can't do anything about it. The answer is like, what can I do about it? I know that I am the master of my destiny. And actually that's what the Chariot card is all about. So that sounds like that might be something that you are willing to do, because the Chariot position is the current state in May. So taking reins of the horse and being willing to take control of your thoughts. What's the challenge is the Star card, and this is right what I was just saying. The Star card deals with hopefulness and having that sense of positivity and trust in the unknown forces. Being a challenge card is the opposite of that. It's like not being cynical, being like, I don't believe it because it's not happening right now. Not having that sense of possibility. And of course, you will get the universe mirroring that, and then you will say, see, I told you so. You know, life is a bitch and then you die. And that kind of cynicism will keep you ensnared in very limiting circumstances. I just picked the card, the Devil card, for another sign, and the Devil card is connected to Capricorn because of Saturn, Saturn, and it's connected because of that. Because Saturn, the shadow aspect of Saturn, can be one of limitations. And that's also its blessings in a way, because it tends to be very conservative and deliberate. So Saturn, unlike Jupiter, is not going to be pie in the sky. It's going to be all about what is. But it's like what Byron Katie says in her philosophy called The Work. You know, is it true? So anytime you have some kind of thought that is negative in nature, you ask yourself, is it true? And basically the point of it is to point out that you really don't know for sure that something is a certain way just because it looks that way. It might be totally different, but you have preconceived notions about it. And by asking if it's true, it kind of helps you to see that there are more possibilities than you might realize. The advice for what's coming in is the Three of Wands. So this is about expansiveness. This is about, and this may relate to career. You may have some kind of an opening where you get a job offer overseas and then all of a sudden you're gone. And whatever has been going on is miraculously taken care of by this new experience, and maybe you meet the love of your life when you're overseas working. But it could also be that you are getting into that more expansive frame of mind. The number 3 is about abundance and expansion. And with wands, it can relate to career matters, but it can also relate to just general creativity and that positivity that you want. So maybe you're learning to become more positive in your outlook on life. Maybe you've had enough with the pessimism, and maybe you are able to free yourself from a negative situation, and that gives you that sense of new, fresh energy that keeps you thinking big, you know, rather than being narrow in your thinking. And the outcome is the Hangman in reverse. So it's all about, now it's time to act. You know, you've been waiting and waiting. Maybe a certain situation you've been enduring. Maybe that's more like it. And now it's time to act. And when you act, you will find that things start to fall in place, probably. And perhaps this is a long-needed choice that you need to make, but one that will have you very happy. And you know, with the Star card is a very positive card, so it's not saying that you can't achieve what it represents, but simply that it is something that you need to work on yourself mentally in order to make it happen. Maybe it's your attitude needs adjustment in order to make it happen, but you can. And that's the beautiful thing about life, is that there's always hope. So I hope you enjoyed this, Capricorn. If you'd like a private reading using your natal chart for the love reading, which is much more personalized because of your time of birth, please click on the link below. Otherwise, have a wonderful May. Bye.